When we think of narcissists, the first thing that often comes to mind is someone who is self-absorbed, overly concerned with their own appearance, and seeking constant admiration from others. Their egos are fragile, but they work hard to create an image of invincibility. But what happens when such individuals encounter something greater than themselves? When the universe, or in a spiritual sense God, challenges them in ways they can't control or manipulate. It's a fascinating and terrifying topic that many don't delve into, yet it's one that holds profound lessons for everyone. In this video, we will explore what God really does to narcissists, and why they absolutely hate it. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll have a clearer understanding of how narcissists are affected by forces beyond their control, and what that means for their journey. It's going to be an eye-opening ride. Have you ever witnessed someone who appears to live in their own bubble of self-importance? They have a sense of superiority, like nothing and no one can touch them. But have you ever wondered, what happens when the universe, or God, decides to deflate their sense of grandeur? Narcissists hate the idea of being anything less than perfect or superior, and yet, when they encounter true power, they often find themselves facing the humbling forces of reality. In this discussion, we'll explore how God handles narcissists, and why it's something they can't stand. It's not just about personal failure, it's about a force that transcends their understanding of control. Now before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might need a deeper understanding of the psychology behind narcissism and its spiritual consequences. We'll be exploring some truths today that not everyone talks about, and you'll want to stick around to the end. Trust me, it's worth it. So, what exactly happens to narcissists when they encounter God's power? First, it's important to understand that narcissism is often rooted in deep insecurity. Beneath the polished exterior, narcissists are terrified of being seen as weak, inadequate, or unworthy. Their entire sense of self-worth is built on external validation, praise, admiration, and control over others. When this crumbles, it can trigger an existential crisis for them. But what happens when a narcissist's control is no longer effective, and they face something far beyond their ability to manipulate? God has a way of breaking through that self-constructed barrier, and it's something the narcissist absolutely loathes. God, in many religious traditions, represents a force of humility, justice, and truth. For a narcissist, facing these aspects can be devastating. The overwhelming truth is that they are not in control, and they are not the center of the universe. Narcissists thrive on the illusion of being all-powerful and all-important. But the moment they come face to face with divine reality, it shatters that illusion. The first thing that happens is they are forced to confront their own flaws and limitations. They are no longer the ones calling the shots. This is deeply uncomfortable for them, as it undermines the very foundation of their identity. But it doesn't stop there. The effects on narcissists when they encounter God go much deeper. One of the most significant things God does is remove their ability to deceive themselves. Narcissists live in a world of self-deception, where they convince themselves that they are perfect or better than others. They may lie, manipulate, and control their surroundings to maintain this false image. But when God steps into the picture, that illusion starts to unravel. Narcissists often resist the truth, because it forces them to face the parts of themselves they've been trying so hard to hide. It's a painful process, one that they despise, and one that can trigger anger, confusion, and desperation. For narcissists, the ultimate fear is exposure. They can't stand the idea of being seen as vulnerable or imperfect. The idea that someone else, something more powerful, can expose their weaknesses is terrifying. This is where God's influence comes into play. When God humbles a narcissist, it's not just about their ego being bruised. It's about their very identity being questioned. They lose their sense of invincibility, and this can feel like an existential threat to them. The control they once had over their life and surroundings begins to slip away, and with it, their sense of self. What many people don't understand is that narcissism is often a defense mechanism, a way to protect a fragile ego. Narcissists often build walls around themselves to keep the world at bay. But when God enters the picture, those walls begin to crumble. They are left exposed, vulnerable, and unsure of who they really are without their facade. This experience of exposure is profoundly unsettling for them. It's one of the most difficult challenges a narcissist can face, and it's something they will often fight against with everything they have. As much as narcissists hate this process, it is also one of the most transformative experiences they can undergo. If they are open to it, this confrontation with truth can lead to genuine personal growth. But it's important to note that this is not an easy process for them. Many narcissists resist this transformation, refusing to acknowledge their flaws or vulnerabilities. They continue to fight against the forces that are challenging them, which often leads to more suffering and frustration. It's a vicious cycle that can only be broken when they are willing to surrender their ego and embrace the reality of their situation. At the core of this process lies the understanding that narcissists, like everyone else, are part of something much larger than themselves. They are not the center of the universe, and they cannot control everything around them. This realization is often the one they fear the most. It challenges their belief in their superiority and forces them to confront the uncomfortable truth that they are just one small part of a much larger, interconnected world. For many narcissists, accepting this truth is deeply unsettling and difficult. So, what can we learn from this understanding? First and foremost, it's crucial to recognize that narcissism is not a condition that can be easily overcome. Overcoming it requires a deep and honest confrontation with one's own vulnerabilities, something that narcissists are often hesitant to do. Nevertheless, the journey of self-awareness and spiritual growth is available to everyone, including narcissists. If they can allow themselves to embrace humility and acknowledge the truth about who they are, they may experience profound transformation. However, as long as they resist this process, they will continue to struggle, fight, and avoid facing the challenges that threaten their fragile sense of self. It is important to note that narcissism is a deeply ingrained condition that cannot be eradicated without significant effort. The road to self-realization is often long and difficult, requiring the narcissist to let go of their need for control and to relinquish their inflated sense of self-importance. This can be a painful and vulnerable journey, but it is one that holds the potential for healing and growth. The key to overcoming narcissism lies in the ability to face one's own insecurities and accept the fact that no one is perfect. It is through this process of self-reflection and humility that true change can occur. The spiritual aspect of this transformation is significant. Many narcissists believe that they are above others, and they may even perceive themselves as having a divine or superior nature. However, recognizing that they are part of a larger, interconnected world is a humbling experience that can lead to a shift in perspective. This shift allows them to see the value in others, leading to greater empathy and understanding. If narcissists can embrace this new outlook, they may be able to let go of their need to dominate or manipulate others, and begin to foster healthier relationships based on mutual respect. In conclusion, narcissism is a complex and deeply rooted issue, but it is one that can be confronted with patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to change. God's role in this process is not one of punishment, but of transformation. Everyone, including narcissists, is given the opportunity to grow, evolve, and heal. However, this opportunity can only be realized if they are willing to face the truth about themselves and let go of their egos. It is a challenging path, but one that can ultimately lead to true freedom and peace. Thank you for taking the time to explore this thought-provoking topic. I hope that you found this discussion valuable and insightful. Narcissism, though a challenging condition, is not an insurmountable one. With the right tools and the willingness to confront one's flaws, transformation is possible. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might benefit from this message. Until next time, take care.